Wells Fargo's new CEO, Charlie Scharf, is on the hot seat. Yesterday, admitting before Congress that the bank engaged in deeply disturbing conduct. He said under his leadership, the company needs to run fundamentally different. The bank under fire since the scandal involving fake accounts. Joining us right now is Texas Congressman, member of the House Financial Services Committee, Lance Gooden, who was at the hearing. Good to see you, Congressman. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you.
Tell us about that hearing and how you see this unfolding.
Well, you know, Democrats hate Wells Fargo. They have for a while. Chairwoman Waters called several years ago for Wells Fargo to be broken up. They had their CEO, Tim Sloan, come in last year before our committee. He did not do a very convincing job, resigned soon thereafter, and Charles Scharf has come in and he testified before our committee yesterday. I was very impressed with him. I think Wells Fargo is headed in the right direction. I think it will be difficult for Democrats to ever give them any credit if they do turn things around. But I believe after yesterday that things are moving in the right direction. The CEO admitted that things were bad, that they had been dishonest with the American people, with their customers. But it seems as if the ship is being righted and they're moving in the right direction.
Congressman Steve Forbes here. What's the mood? Is still an anti-bank mood in Congress? Because we're coming to a point in the crisis where we're going to be putting pressure on the banks to help out the struggling industry, struggling individuals. What's the state of the psychology right now?
Well, you know, before the last few weeks when all of this coronavirus really got bad, I think there was more of an anti-bank mood, at least among Democrats in our committee. One of the points that I made yesterday in my conversations with the CEO were that these problems were limited to Wells Fargo. They are not problems that all big banks in the United States are facing. And I think Democrats were a little less hard on big banks as a whole than perhaps they would have been, because they know that big banks can really make or break their customers in these months ahead.
Yeah,
and we're going to need banks cooperating.
And the big banks meeting at the White House this morning. I want to ask you about this negotiating going on with Congress, ways to bolster the U.S. economy, paychecks amid the coronavirus outbreak. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin met with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi yesterday, characterizing the meeting as more of a discussion than a negotiation. And then there was National Economic Council Director Larry Kudlow commenting on the president's proposed payroll tax. He says it's a bold move, but let's listen to what Kudlow said. Watch this.
I think there'll be a big growth payoff. I think it'll help deal with whatever challenges occur in the next few months. I think beyond that, ameliorating the tax burden on the middle class, the so-called blue-collar boom that I talk quite a bit about, that's what this is aimed for. That's really what the payroll tax is principally about.
So what do you think? I know you've raised concern for Americans who can't work from home, like truck drivers, farmers, ranchers. Maybe they won't get impacted by this. What kind of stimulus is needed right now?
Well, you know, I spoke with Steve Mnuchin last night. I saw him at dinner. He had a great meeting with Speaker Pelosi. I may get in trouble for saying this, but she likes him. She likes dealing with him, and the president trusts him, and I feel as if they will come to an agreement. I'm hearing from Democrats a willingness to work with Republicans that I haven't heard before. Speaker Pelosi said yesterday that she has no intentions to shut down the House and cancel votes in the coming weeks, which I think is important. I think it sends a good message to the American people that their Congress is at work. It's something I agree with her on. Of course, her motivations are perhaps a little different as well. She doesn't want to leave town and leave the White House in charge of everything without her here. But I think you'll see in the coming days some meaningful talk about perhaps a stimulus, perhaps a payroll tax cut. Democrats want child care, things that perhaps are going to be a little more Democrat-minded in the coming days. But
well, I mean, they shouldn't use this opportunity to just start adding stuff on this like a Christmas tree, light it up with all this extra stuff, if you're just trying to stimulate the economy at a very important, critical time.
You and I both know that. I think Democrats will learn that, but we're about to leave town for 10 days after Thursday this week. So March 23rd is the next week that Congress, everyone is back in session. I think over the next 10 days is when the meaningful discussions will really take place. That week of the 23rd, we'll get something done.
Congressman, we'll be looking at it and watching. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Lance Gooden joining us there.